Hello, my dear vibers. It's been a while. Thank you so much for connecting with me today. As you can tell, I'm a little bit husky. I've been away and I came back to LA and everyone's got this little bug, but I'm almost through it. And I have 3 things to share with you today. 4. One is I love you, and that's always true. And then an update on my beautiful project, the Inez Milholland short, for the centennial next year of women getting the vote. So I'll give you an update on that. Really, really love this project, and I'm excited to bring you along. And then the other thing is I've just gotten back from Mexico, and I'll share with you about that incredible, powerful time. And then the third thing, very exciting, is that I've been cast in a feature film that is dealing with addiction in the family. And I can't share any details about that yet. It should be soon that I'll be able to share details. But this is really important to me. I wanted to share the subject matter because just like I did for Listen, for that film about domestic violence, I'm really keen to utilize this as a way to hear your experiences, talk about the challenges of having addiction in the family or with people that we love, so that we can know how to support each other better and break the silence and break the cycle and really come into wholeness through sharing about it and working together. And that's really important to me. And it's really important to me. I have my own experiences, but it's important to me to hear yours as well as I'm creating this character, and so that I can bring your truth to set if you feel like sharing it with me. So, hi, how's everybody doing? Hi, everything, kid. Yeah, sounds amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, first off, thank you for your love and prayers and vibes while I was away in Mexico. Sending vibes to you all. I hope you felt them. Thank you to those of you who joined in to make it even more powerful, sending love and very intentional vibes to the world and to the universe for peace, for balance, for health, for all. And in my own journey, really, really clarifying even more this vessel of my mind and body and heart and spirit to be of greater service and to clear my own junk, because we're human and we pick up some bits of moss along the way. And those of you who followed me at all know that I'm constantly reading and doing workshops and doing the meditations and the internal work because it makes everything better. It makes everything better. It makes me so happy to be doing what I love. I'm so happy to be doing what I love with people I love. Ah, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. If you're scared right now to take a leap into something that has the deepest heart and meaning for you, I promise you it is way less scary doing it and finding those things that come up, because there will be whatever's going to come up in the journey of creating what you love and what you feel called to create in the world. But it's going to be way more fun than like boring problems like your boss or being bored at work or something like that. Way more fun when everything in you feels called to do it. Yay, I'm so glad you felt the vibes. You work in addiction, Dana, so you have a lot of experience. If you feel called to share anything, I'm sure it would be really helpful to people. Mossy here. Yep. Hi, Tyler. Hello, Ziad. Yay. So, update on the Inez Milholland project. I'm wearing right now, this is her. I'm wearing the shirt that I got when I voiced her in a short documentary film by filmmaker Martha Wheelock, who's also one of the historians. We've got 4 awesome historians whose work has been helping to create this film. You can check out, there's a link in the in the description, InesMilhollandFilm.com. Oh my gosh, you guys. I was reading, again, this book by Linda Lumsden, all about her while I was literally traveling through Europe. I was traveling through the north part of Italy as I was reading about her 100 years prior, traveling as a single woman. Well, she was married, but like traveling alone as a woman, which was unheard of, in World War I to be a peace correspondent as a freelance journalist in World War I. I mean, talk about chutzpah, this woman. And she was a lawyer and an activist back when it was really hard to get a law degree as a woman. And she, and I recently got to tweak, and she was really saucy. She was a flirt, for sure. And she was splashed all over all the newspapers and headlines and stuff, which it's insane that even though she was probably the most popular of all of the suffragists in this country, and one of the most popular suffragettes around the world, had you heard of her? I hadn't heard of her until like 3 years ago. So I'm really excited to bring her story into light. So you can check out that link if you want. People are saying lovely things. Thank you. And thank you. Dana says, and thank you for the congrats. Dana says, I was married to an opiate addict for 16 years. He's a good man. His addiction took over and ended our marriage. Oh, sweetie. That's painful. Yeah. Yeah, I love that you said he's a good man. Let's pivot now and talk about addiction. And we'll talk about, oh man, I just got scared. That's good. That means it's important to me. That means it's important to me. Time for honesty. Yeah. I love that you said he's a good man, because it's not a judgment on the person. Speaking from inside personal experience, I have worked most of my life with addictive patterns with food. I think that's the first time maybe that I've said that publicly. It's been challenging for me. And a lot of times it's not challenging. And, I use that word lightly, but also heavily. When I was going through my depression, which I have mentioned that I was suicidally depressed years ago in 2012. That was kind of like, I was so mean to myself in my head. I was so constantly cruel to myself that the only nice thing I did for myself, the only nourishing I did for myself was feed myself. And I really sucked at it then too. I was like, I couldn't even make decisions. I was like, I don't know, kale and apples, or I don't know. But then I would just go on these binges and I would just eat. And it's really awful. It's really awful and scary to give your control over to like this loop pattern in the head. And it's so weird because it's not like you're not aware that you're doing it. I was aware, but there kind of part of you kind of like, screw it, nah, and the other part's like, but it's fun. This is what people do, right? People do things. Alcohol wasn't really a problem for me. I have experience with people I love for whom that has been a problem. But that wasn't it for me. It wasn't drugs for me, although, sugar is a total drug. So it was mostly sugar. And I still do my best to avoid sugar. I don't always, but I really notice a difference when I have that substance in my body. It is talking loudly, really loudly. If it's in my house, it's talking loudly until it's done. And I'm like, maybe I should just eat it all, No, I don't want to have that conversation. I want to have this conversation. I want to have the present conversation. I want to have fun with the people I'm with, not be thinking about having more of whatever is the pie or the thing, So, yeah, it's still something I have to be really mindful of. And there are a lot of things I just don't buy. I don't keep in my house. And that's for me personally. And knowing that from the inside, getting through that to a place of balance in my life, needing to have the accountability, and in certain times, and if I'm like stressed and overwhelmed and there's a lot going on, I have to really be careful about the accountability. And I might like share
write a list of my food or share in an app to my boyfriend. You know, I've had times of doing that, of just being like, I just want to be honest that this is what I ate, so that I'm not hiding it from myself. Because we can't anyway, but we think we can. So that's from the inside, part of my personal experience with that. And that in that depression, I'll leave you with this too, that in that depression, I needed to cut out sugar. I needed to cut out certain things that were, and patterns that are addictive substances, or like eating at night, late, you know, or eating in front of the TV, those kind of things I had to really cut out just to have a baseline of mental clarity with which to do the personal work to recognize the patterns that I was trying to numb away with food, so that I can change that pattern. Love is everything. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hi, Batman. Batman is watching from Russia with love. Дорогой длинною, доночкой лунною, да спесни той, что вдаль летит свинья. I think that's how we say it. I learned that a long time ago from a student, so bear with me if it was a little off. So, on the flip side of that, having gone through it, it is, I would say, even more painful to be watching somebody else go through it and know there's really nothing you can do. You can be there for your loved one. You can, you know, I'll just speak for me. I could be there for my loved one. I could know that I don't know what they need, and keep reminding myself that I don't know what they need, even if it seems so obvious what they need. I don't actually. Their way is going to be different from mine. And so that pain of trying to help and let them know that you care and love and keep that connection open so they have someone to talk to, but at the same time, know that they might not get through it. They might not. That's their choice. Nothing is more painful than that. I think nothing is more painful than that, than watching somebody else hurt themselves. But just to keep loving. What helps you? If you had any experiences, what helps you? I'd love to know. And if you have a longer story that you want to share, or a personal story that you don't want to post, you can email me, info@amywalkeronline.com. You can email me there and share it, and I will read them. Yeah, so I'd love to hear anything that helps to you. Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah, so I'm putting that out there too. I know there are people who will be watching this later. So I'm putting that out there, and I'll share more about that project as I'm able, but it's really under wraps for now. And what else was there? Yeah, so the moon dance where I just was. This was really incredible. It's in Mexico. There are actually, I think, about 35 of them around the world now. So if you feel called, you know, check them out, Google, see what's near your area. It's a non-secular spiritual practice and a place to go, and it's for women and female identifying people. But then also men do come to support. So just like the Sundance was primarily, now there's a lot that are you know, gender equal. But this one is really for women. And this was 450 women from around the world gathering together to whatever word you like to use, give vibes, love, prayers for the earth, for each other, for you, for everyone in the world, for balance in nature, and to really heal the ancestral wounding, ancestral baggage, and heal ourselves so that we can be of better service in the world. It's really incredible. And we spent 5 days and 4 nights living on the land at a sacred site in Mexico. There are different places. I know there's one in Quebec. There's one in Minnesota. I think one just opened in Austria, which is awesome. There are a bunch in South America and more in Mexico. I think there was another one even there at the same time as ours. So it's one of my, I don't even know how many different practices, but it's a really powerful practice because I fast for that week. And not, a lot of people eat just really simple food, but it's a time to really get in touch and be not comfortable necessarily, don't really sleep, and just keep doing the inner examination work. So for example, what I did, I spent one whole night, we dance all night, and I spent one whole night going through my whole life, looking at all of the times, as many as I could think of, that I had felt judged or had judged somebody else or judged myself. And there's a lot. It's a deep, deep pattern. And it's a deep pattern that I inherited. I think we probably all did. And I'm really dedicated to dissolving that pattern and dissolving being in reaction to that pattern, or thinking that I'm being judged, or worrying that I'll be judged, and or judging myself or others. So I went through, I apologized, I forgave, I did a lot of healing work with all of that, and really seeing how I had hurt and been hurt and what that does to a psyche. Really, really powerful. And then the next night, I went all the way through all of those and other times and was doing forgiveness work. Well, forgiveness work on the previous, but being grateful, noticing how I had grown through those times. I'm talking every school year. I'm talking, people, relationships, the way that my parents did everything they could to give me everything that they could. And of course they wanted me to have everything. And of course they did the best that they could, and things that I'd taken a certain way or perceived a certain way, just really seeing that all as beautiful and whole and complete. And yeah, just perfect as it was. And being able to let go of that story, give it up, just give it to the universe and go, okay, that's one of the stories of human. I don't need to use it anymore to justify anything or to excuse anything. I can still tell my story. It's not like I don't know what Amy Walker is and was, but I just have a different relationship to it now. I don't need to cling to it as mine. Yeah, very purifying. Okay. Andros says, congratulations. Although I don't believe addiction is anything but an excuse for mediocrity, I'm happy you got the job. Huh. That's an interesting perspective. Huh. Can I share? And so, yeah, that's an interesting perspective. It would be interesting to look and see if there are any particular addictive patterns that you have. Because I know that for me, looking at me, I have a lot more compassion when I recognize, what is there? There's something. What is there? Working extra, getting things done, accomplishments, shopping. What is there? What do you use to numb? What do you use to, it's just interesting to look at something and just be really deeply honest. It helps me have compassion for other people. It's a word that I used to, labels, we have to be really careful with labels. And I think, to your point, it is possible to just go, oh, well, I'm an addict. I'm not capable of this, or I am diagnosed with XYZ. I am not capable of this. That's an option. I don't recommend using a label as an excuse. We could all, anybody could have a label and use it as an excuse, but it can be really helpful to recognize that this word addiction how I see it is that it's a word for a particular pattern. And there are patterns, and so you could just call it destructive pattern. That's the cycle that self-perpetuates, if you don't want to call it addiction. So as long as I'm able to use that in a way that helps me, sometimes the gravity of a word like addiction, and recognizing, wow, I actually could use that word to describe an aspect of myself, so that I don't think I'm above, like, so that I'm not judging anybody else there and thinking that I'm above that. So if I judge it, then I can't heal that within myself. But if I can look at that and go, okay, wow, that's a powerful word. If I can have compassion for that word, and I can identify a part of myself in that word, I can have compassion for others there, and I can utilize that to wake up to that situation and to give it importance in my life so that I can change that. So yeah, it's not so much what is the word, but what do we do with the word? So that's an interesting perspective. Somebody else was asking, okay, Salty John. It's been 5 months now since I beat my addiction. For the last 15 years, I've been addicted to cocaine. I finally said enough, and now I spend my time hunting Jews and selling them to Germans for a living. What? I don't know what that is. That was a really sour taste. I hope that was, I'm not quite sure how to take that. If that was a joke, it was in poor taste. So that was in poor taste. I'm gonna delete that. Amanda asks, how do we show compassion to those who have done us wrong in the past? That's an important question. And it's a personal question. And what helps me is to meditate on seeing the whole view of what happened, and seeing how, what part of me, what was I getting out of that pattern? Was I getting justification or validation for my worldview or for my view of myself? Sometimes if we haven't grown up receiving unconditional love, then the best we are used to getting is maybe pity, or so we'll say maybe pity. Maybe pity is the best that we think we can do. And so if I have some reason to be oppressed, then at least I can get pity for being oppressed. And maybe that's the best I think I can do. Or if I'm being oppressed, then at least I know that I'm in the right and I can stay strong even in the face of depression or of oppression. So it can be helpful to look at, even if it's kind of like a low vibrational form of a payoff, to look at what have I been getting out of that situation? How has this been validating that view of myself? And so when I can do that, then I can change that pattern within me, and I can see how this was a person who came in because I had this half of that pattern, and they came in and said, oh great, I've got the other half of that pattern. You're welcome. We can perpetuate that pattern for each other. And what's challenging about that is that it can feel like one side is the worse one than the other side. This one was the victim and that one was the oppressor. But when I can see them as just equal sides of a toxic pattern, nobody wants to be an oppressor. It's really, really painful to the spirit. It might seem in the moment like you're getting some glory out of it, like making that really off-color, strange joke might seem in the moment like, ha 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 ha, I made a really off-color, strange joke. I am powerful. But it's like, ow. it feels so much better to be loving. It feels so good in the body to be loving. So whatever kind of pain that joke came from, to use like a tiny example, ow, I'm sorry that you're feeling that pain, that you're feeling so much pain that making that joke feels like a step up to you. Because a step up would be feeling love and compassion. So when I can look at my half, going back to this pattern now, when I can look at my half of that pattern and see how, okay, they came in because I needed that other half there. That is a start for me, that I can recognize it as a whole pattern. And then when I can heal that part in myself that had a need for that pattern, and I can look at what would be something, a higher vibrational form of that. What would that be? That would be, maybe you have a friendship that is a supportive friendship, and you can be yourself with that friend, and they can be themselves, and you're honest, but in a caring, loving way. And you can look at that friendship and go, I see how both halves of that friendship are really equal and supportive. And I can see that, and I can see how I'm getting that, a higher form of love from that relationship, that friendship. So then I can go, okay, let me take those, let me really feel deeply in my body how my friend loves to give me that love, and how I love to give my friend that love. So I can really take in that I am worthy of that pattern, and how good it feels to be giving to that pattern and perpetuating that pattern that keeps growing in loving. And then you can take that and apply that to this other, to other relationships. And in that process, doing that process, maybe you want some support with a counselor or a guide in some way. Maybe writing is helpful, or doing different exercises are helpful. As you go in layers, you'll naturally find forgiveness. You will. And I recommend not just pushing it or saying it because you think you need to. Take your time. It's okay. Time is something we invent anyway. So as it feels right, and then there'll be a time when you feel like you've really forgiven them, and it's like all the layers have peeled away, and you're like, yes, and then another layer will come up, and you'll be like, oh, I guess I still had some more work to do there. And that's okay too. Just another layer. It's deep, but it's totally worth it. And as you continue to heal those patterns in yourself and recognize them, then you'll notice it can be helpful too to look at, like, are there any times when I'm the other half of that pattern? Because sometimes we are. Sometimes we can be harsh in a work environment or in something, and I can go, oh, wow, yeah. Sometimes I'm the harsh side of that. Let me look at that and really make sure that I'm being loving and compassionate in all of my interactions with people. So there's a long but thorough personal answer to that question. All right, my dears. Thank you, Salty John. He said, it takes a strong person to share their story, and I laugh at my, and, okay, so it takes a strong person to share their story, and I laugh at your one. Impressive. I'm confused by your one. Would you be more clear about it with me? I'm confused. I don't know you yet, so I'm not sure if you're being facetious or if you're making a joke. And so it's hard for me to trust your story right now. But if you'll share it with me, then I can get to know you better and know how to trust your story. I would like to get to know how to trust your story. To me, it felt hurtful. So if the part about your addiction is true and honest, then I'm thrilled for you. It's a huge, huge undertaking and a huge journey. And that's wonderful progress. How do you protect yourself with regards to tackling such a heavy topic like addiction, considering my experience with it? That's an interesting question. Yeah, it's an important question. So I have different practices of when I'm working on a character. I imagine a room with all of these drawers and all of my different characters and projects in the drawers. And then I will open a drawer and take out the character and pour them into myself while I'm working on them. And then I will put them back in the vessel and put them back in the drawer. And that's a way, and then I'll clear my energy. And that's one way that I do to keep it really clear, distinct energy in between. It's tricky, and you know, I am very mindful about what projects I pick because of that, because you're going to be living in a space for a while. So yeah, that's one little way. All right, my dears, take care. I'll read this last one. Andro says, I wish I could be more aware of emotional wisdom. I've lived my entire life based on facts and only facts. Therefore, when I speak, it's based solely on fact. People tend to believe I'm aloof or cold. Thank you for sharing that. It's not too late. It's all there. It's all there right now. And you recognizing that is a beautiful step. So now is the exciting part, where you get to start to be in touch with what's happening inside of you. And what's really great, I know it can be scary to look at emotions because there's some gnarly emotions that we have. But underneath those is more joy than you could possibly imagine. So if you're feeling kind of numb, know that all the good stuff is in there too. And that you can't really feel it unless you're willing to feel the other stuff. But as we feel it and are aware and present to it, it goes away. So right now, it's all still bottled up and kind of like in there, which is really funny because we do this thing as humans where we're like, I don't want to feel that. Let me hold on to it forever. That'll be easier. No, it's way harder and way more painful to avoid feeling your pain. Trust me, from experience, way harder. It's a lot easier to just be like, okay, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? Just start making a sound. Go into some little room somewhere, go into your car, park your car in some garage you've never heard of. Anywhere that's a safe space for you. Find a safe space. And just like, move your body. Start making sound, any sound, whatever it is. Maybe it's, or maybe it's, I don't know what it's gonna be. Let it be a sound, let it move, because at least that's energy moving. And at some point, if you keep it going, you keep your breath going, you keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger, you'll get to something. You will cry or scream or all of the above or laugh. Things will happen. They don't have to mean anything. You don't need to examine them all and figure out what trash you're throwing away. You don't need to. If you naturally like have thoughts that pass through of like, oh, I think this is that time, that fine. That's great. Wonderful. But like, you don't need to hash back through everything in your life. You can really just like feel it and get it out and uncork that. Uncork that. It's gonna feel so much better. No one has to know. But if you get that flow going, there's gonna be so much relief for you. And you might cry for a while, you might scream for a while, you might laugh for a long flipping time. It's a really great ab workout, PS, side bonus. But you're gonna feel so much better, and then keep doing it, because suddenly everything in your life is gonna change for the better, and I promise you that. Everything. If you've got that flow going, when you talk to a coworker or you give them a compliment or whatever, they'll feel it more. They'll feel you more because there'll be more of you being shared. They'll be like, wow, thank you. You look really great today or something. They're not gonna know why. They're just gonna be like, you look really great today. And you'll be like, thanks. I feel good because you will. You will feel better. So it's not too late. Start small. Just do it. It's going to be so worth it. And then please share with me info@amywalkeronline.com. Email me or write back on here so that everyone can celebrate with you your amazing progress. And I know it's getting long. Some of the most beneficial roads to take are the hardest roads to traverse. Andro, best of luck to you. LOL, this is difficult. It gets easier. It gets so much easier. Can I do accents? No. Sure. I love accents. When are you going to... Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, anyway. Boop. I love you all. And I thank you so much for joining in. Just like this, it gets easier. Trust me, every time I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. That'll be scary. What am I going to say? Blah, 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 blah. Everyone's like, it's so easy for you to share. No, I don't do it because it's easy. Are you kidding me? I do it because it's what I need to do. I do it in case it makes it easier for you. There you go. From one introvert to the next. It gets easier. You're amazing. I love you. Thank you for sharing. Bye. And hello in Iran. Peace be with you all. That's so funny. There we go. Yay! Vibes! My screen just like closed. I love you.